Pre-calculus Part 1, Section 4.2, Trig Functions, the unit circle. Example 1 on page 477, finding values of the trigonometric functions. First thing I'm going to say is it is an extremely good idea to memorize the circle. It's going to follow you through several chapters in Part 2, as well as the rest of Part 1 for pre-cal. So I suggest you memorize the circle as best you can. The angles, the radians, the degrees, the points on the circle, what goes with what, seriously, everything. Okay? So, in figure 4.22, the real number is equal to the length of the intercepted arc of an angle that measures t radians. Okay, so you do know these, or you will know these, but at the moment they're just telling you that this is the point, -1/2 square root of 3 over 2. As long as the radius is 1, that doesn't change. Okay, so as long as the radius is 1, what you're looking at, get a pencil here, hold on. What we're really talking about as far as when you're finding the sine, the cosine, and the tangent, you can look at this two different ways. Sorry about that. Okay, so the point that we're looking at, the right triangle is always formed with the x-axis, never the y-axis. So what that means is that this side is your -1/2, this side is your square root of 3 over 2, and that's the point you land at. Okay, so in order to find the sine, remember if this is always our theta right there. That angle is always theta. So if we're looking for the sine of that angle, sine, remember, is opposite over hypotenuse. Well, we're on the unit circle, so the hypotenuse is 1. So it's going to be this value over 1, which is your square root of 3 over 2. Okay? Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so it would just be 1 over that. And then you multiply, when you divide fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal. You cannot leave the square root in the denominator, so multiply both top and bottom by square root of 3. So your cosecant, or the reciprocal of the square root of 3 over 2, is 2 square root of 3 over 3. That's what we got when we did the math. Okay, the cosine, remember, is adjacent side over hypotenuse. Again, the hypotenuse is only 1, so this is -1/2. So the cosine is -1/2. The secant is the reciprocal of that, so 1 over -1/2, again, multiply by the reciprocal, which is -2. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, or sine over cosine, always. You can just, if you've already calculated sine and cosine, you can literally take sine divided by cosine, and you get the exact same thing every time for tangent. So tangent is opposite, which is 3 square root of 3 over 2. Sorry, square root of 3 over 2. And adjacent is -1/2. So square root of 3 over 2 over -1/2. If you multiply by the reciprocal, which is -2, the 2's knock each other out, and you end up with negative square root of 3. Cotangent is the reciprocal of that. So it's going to be -1/2 over square root of 3 over 2, or you could just do 1 over the negative square root of 3, multiply top and bottom by square root of 3, and you get square root of 3 over 3, negative, since we were in the second quadrant. Okay, so for the checkpoint, it's giving you this figure. So now we're at the point square root of 3 over 2, 1/2, which means that this is the square root, the adjacent side here is square root of 3 over 2, and the height, or the opposite side, remember your theta is always in there. So your opposite side would be the 1/2. So sine, again, our radius is 1. And you either have to be told it on the unit circle, or this gives you a clue. If this is the 0.10, you are on the x-axis. And your hypotenuse is 1. So the sine would be the opposite side, which is the 1/2 over 1. The cosecant would be the reciprocal of that, which is 2. Your cosine would be this side. Oops, how'd that get down there? So your cosine is this side right here, the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, which is 1. So that would be the square root of 3 over 2 over 1. The secant would be the reciprocal of that. So 2 over square root of 3, but you got to fix that. So we multiply by square root of 3 again. Okay. Tangent, again, is just sine over cosine, or opposite over adjacent. So the 1/2 over the square root of 3 over 2. The 2's cross out when you multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply top and bottom by the square root of 3. So square root of 3 over 3. It's probably going to be easier to go back to this point to do the reciprocal for the cotangent, because if we just flip that over, it's square root of 3. You don't have to go through all of this if you do it right from here before you fix it. The 1/2 and the square root of 3 over 2, if you haven't already memorized your unit circle, they show up a lot. So they're really good numbers to get to know and to know where they are on your unit circle.